Hello, everyone, and welcome back to day one of Spring One's Agile Leadership Breakout Track. Next up, we have Ram Kesavan from the Gap Inc. and Anand Rao from VMware discussing preparing Gap Inc.'s e-commerce for the holiday season. As a scale junkie, I'm excited to learn from them. Ram and Anand, over to you guys.
Thank you very much. Good morning from sunny California here. Good afternoon, good evening for folks who have joined us from the other side of the country. Today, we're going to be talking a lot about the key topic here, which is the preparedness of the systems for the holiday season at Gap. I want to introduce my good friend Ram from the Gap side. Ram, go for a quick introduction.
Hey, Ram Kesavan. I'm a senior director for Gap. I am responsible for the site reliability engineering platform as a service and other API platforms in Gap. One of the things SSR is the e-commerce holiday season capacity readiness, etc.
Awesome. So I have had the privilege for the last few years to have the front row seat and going through the process on how you folks at Gap prepare for this peak season. So tell us what the peak season means for you, Ram.
All right. So peak, not just for Gap, for all retailers, peak season begins around October through December 25th. We all know that is very important days in the US where a lot of sales happen. All retailers do a large portion of their revenue during these months, culminating on the Black Friday and CyberMonday for the highest traffic days. And during those days, our systems run are the highest utilization because we get heavy traffic. And so we make sure, to prepare for those days, we make sure we do not, we have a huge program, we get ready and make sure that we do not have any glitches, even any small issues for those months and on those days.
Fantastic. So let's dig back and say, hey, what does it take to prepare for it? Is it a day's effort, 2 days effort? What does it take to prepare for your peak, the holiday season there?
Yeah. So I can, this is a simple order comparisons for people, as a graphical comparisons goes. So, this is comparing a normal April week on one of our busiest weeks compared to on the Black Friday week, those peak week, our system, this is the difference in how we do the order counts. And this is how different things are. So our systems usually are at 5, 7, 8 times the load of one of the busiest week to the peak week. And to get ready for this kind of difference in load and everything, we have it's an all-year effort for Gap. It is not like, hey, let's just do it in a few months. It is an all-year effort. We do it as a peak program. We have a dedicated team that follows with all of our product teams, to make sure all the product teams are for peak ready. And all the, how they are, what all their activities that are required to do and everything. They have regular touch bases with all these teams to make sure they are peak ready. And these are all the action items they do. We set the peak target numbers. What is the peak target here? What is it that we are expecting from business? We get that. And then using those numbers, we do a capacity engineering framework and how are we going to do, how are we going to scale, how the app teams are going to work. And then we get that part. And then we also do all the hierarchy requirements and failover testing. We do the coordinated, integrated load testing to make sure everything is running together. And we also meet with all the vendors. We have every vendor. VMware is a vendor. We have a different vendor. We have a lot of from hardware, our cloud provider, our payment vendor. We have a lot of vendors we are dependent on to make sure our peak runs smoothly. So we meet with all these vendors. Hey, are you ready? Are you ready to take this extra load? And we make sure and also the support aspect of it. So on those months, we ask for really support for, hey, we can't wait for 5 or 15 or 20 minutes to get you on the call. We need extended support. We need to make sure that if there are issues, we get support folks from your side immediately. And all the observability data is collected and analyzed. When we do the load test and other times releases, etc., we analyze all the data to make sure we are ready. And also as part of it, we make sure all the dashboards that are required to watch, that the teams need to watch are ready to go. And also the peak teams that the program, the team also has a score for each and every app team to make sure, hey, where they are. We have a lot of action items for each team, and we have a score of red, yellow, and green. Hey, you're not ready, you're getting ready, and yeah, this team is ready. And during these meetings, we get there. And what does this mean? Peak readiness. Peak readiness, we get these, initially we set these peak target transaction numbers. We usually average as 200 to 250% of the previous week, depending on what the business forecast is. In the max, we go to 250. 1 year, we went higher than that, but it is usually that is the range. And then we take these target numbers that we get from business, and we take that, and each and every product team analyzes the last year's peak numbers and sets these, hey, what will be their individual targets, okay, given what our target is going to be. And then we take that, and the product teams analyze, and they do these individual load tests for themselves to make, hey, will my application scale will do for these extra load? We get that. And so this is very product team basis to make sure each and every product team, each and every teams are ready. And that is one of the things we do as part of the peak program, peak readiness. So this is next, and there is this huge capacity engineering aspect we do in Gap. And we have these as part of the SRE team, around the SRE team, and the SRE teams, we help with this capacity engineering practice with these individual application teams. We help, number one, we help sometimes the business forecast and business, a specific page, how it relates to a specific app. They will say, hey, we might get more number of hits in the category or certain categories. What does that relate to an app that is pulling certain data, right? So we help with that conversion of these and making sure that, hey, how does it do for transactions per second? And if there are any issues, if there, the app product teams, they have same performance bottlenecks on certain issues, we help them. It could be in not related to app, it could be related to something else. So we help with them make, and if, if there's memory, they need more capacity, we make sure that all these bottlenecks are taken out. And make sure that have each product team, each application is ready for peak capacity. I talked about the integrated load test. Even before we get there, are you ready? Can you do these capacity integrated, planning? And then define, and also the service dependencies. Sometimes service A is calling B is calling C, and some of these guys might be in 3 different product teams, and making sure that the last C is ready for eight different apps calling them. So we make sure these service dependencies. And then we define and document the capacity. And usually when we do this capacity planning, it is on a single unit. We go, if your app is running on containers, then hey, how much transactions per second can a single container do? If it is on a VM, how can? And so we know, hey, on your specific app, specific VM, this is the capacity of that specific app. In a product team say, hey, my app will do this on a single app or single container. So when we scale, if this is the capacity, this is what we need. So all that capacity is ready. So there's a backend capacity. If we need to scale VMs, if we need to scale our platform environments, we make sure we get all of that ready to go. And then finally, when all the product teams and in each and individual product teams and say, hey, I am ready to do the load test. I have the load test scripts ready. I have everything ready. I've done my test. We are ready to go. Then the peak program, they will schedule an integrated load test. When we say integrated, we do a full integrated load test with a third party. And that third party cloud, that simulates production traffic. so it actually hits our websites. We simulate production traffic. We make sure everything is fine. So and that then we also have a CDN that does some of the caching and use it, to make sure we don't have a storm. But we do the production traffic that will hit our infrastructure. So whatever the CDN leak happens, we calculate that and we say, hey, this is what we are going to get, and we get ready for that. So and then we run this integrated load test to make sure all the components that are critical, that are part of this whole platform, that is workflow, are tested at full peak load. And so when we use the third party, it is actually a third party. We use we use these JMeter types. We load it up on the cloud, and the third party, we generate massive load that hits us, so we know that, hey, we are fine. And we make sure the page ratios. Sometimes, in any website, you have all these 10, 20 different page types you go to, and the page ratios of what it is, it's similar to what we would get in production during peak days. So it is very similar, and we make sure the load tests are very similar to what production traffic would be, and this with the same ratios. And when we run these tests, it is going down all the way to even doing a synthetic order placement. There are certain things that are, things that we can't do, that are vendor related, or things that it's very hard to pull off. But we make sure that we go to all the way to the order placement and make sure that everything, when we go do this test, we have everything and we are comfortable. Once this integrated load test is done, right? And as we are running, we will do most of the time, as we are running, we will know most of the data analysis is done as during. But using these, we have a lot of data. We collect a lot of data. We have APM, we have cloud, we have informatics. We take all of this data, the observability analysis, and we make sure there are no issues. We go analyze and make sure everything is fine. One of the things that we make sure is that how are the response times during the load test? Okay, and also we are an SRE program, so are all these apps, critical apps, meeting their SLOs when we are running at the highest load? Okay, so when you say, people familiar with SRE, they know that service level objectives, each app needs a certain service level objectives on their latencies, and are you within that latency? If an app needs to do at 400 millisecond, they need to be within that 400 millisecond. And if you're off, they're off. We go like, hey, you have an issue, you can't do this. So, we need to either scale up, or there will be changes need, or if there's a backend issue because of database, we'll work with them. But, the gist is, during full load test, all applications have to meet their accepted service level objectives. And I talked about the failover, high availability and failover testing. So one thing we do is that all through the years, all our app team, product teams, our application component infra teams, we do a lot of failover testing to make sure, hey, when we run this, we can failover and it's operational. So, but that's regular, so teams do regular failover testing, and all critical components and applications of failover make sure everything is done, and it happens in a seamless way. But we also, during these integrated load tests, we do some of these very critical component failover testing to make sure that, hey, will we recover properly even in extreme load? So during these integrated load tests, we have these activities we'll do. Hey, these 4 databases are critical, let's failover. And those kind of activities during our integrated load test we will do to make sure we will recover and there are no issues because of any connection storms or etc. Because when you failover, this huge connection storm happens and that doesn't create any issues. So even our distributed DBs are failed over. And most of this, when we do, we actually simulate an actual crash. plug out the network connection that will simulate an actual crash, and we'll say, hey, are we okay? And that is one of the things that is very important, because we make sure that, systems, it's like, no matter what we do, failures happen, and because, the way things are. So, and when it happens, do we recover cleanly, seamlessly? That's very important. And how do we get this speed execution, right? So we are all ready. We have done this preparation all through the year. We have got everything, the product teams are ready, everything is ready. And then during these months, the actual peak execution comes. For our, for those 2 weeks, we have 20, teams all, from India. We have a team in India, in the US. They're all involved in these successful peak. I talked about the integrated load test. So even during the integrated load test, we have teams all over involved, because we do these in the night. So everybody is trained. It's like, when you do these practice or basketball or any sports analogies, we do this in a way that if we get this practice, we are ready. And when an actual game comes, it is all teams are ready for it, and it is not, hey, we are doing for the first time. It's like the practice makes perfection. So all of this on all the load tests, during the load test, all of these processes are nailed down. And when we come and actually execute it, it's game time, and teams are ready to go. So we do this, and we have a full execution plan, and of, hey, who's doing what needs to happen, any jobs need to be, because you don't want, some BI jobs to run on extremely important day that might slow down. So we go to these details, right? And we have constant checkpoints on, hey, are your systems okay? Are teams okay? We do all of that, and also make sure all our vendors are also ready for the support. Like we'll ping the vendors, hey, are you ready? Is there anything? Can you get on the call? Any small issues? And we run these multiple all-day Zoom calls, and and with direct connected to support teams and product teams. And usually these calls are run by, coordinated by SRE, so that they have a full workflow knowledge, and it is coordinated. It's very choreographed. The whole thing is very well choreographed, so that we don't have glitches. We have checkpoints. We have everything, and it is like, it is almost like the practice versus game time. And this is an important dashboard. This is what the teams watch. We have created in Gap this pipeline. This is a mock of our dashboards, very similar to our dashboards. What we have is that this is the dashboards that all teams watch. This particular dashboards provides both the business and technical information. See, each of these bubbles that you green bubbles is in the backend associated to their specific monitors. You can see there is an user DB or story, or here tax services or inventory, these mark. Each of these is in the backend associated to all the monitors for that specific DB or story. So if any one of these alerts or monitors fails, this particular bubble here, I can give you an example, will go red. So everybody knows, and as people are watching it, hey, there is an issue on that service that a specific monitor is failing. So people have action items for that. Okay, so so this is the overall dashboards that even provides the order count, orders. So everybody knows, like, hey, what is the order per minute? If there is a slight dip in order per minute, hey, there is an issue or something that is happening. So people can watch that, and all over people are watching to make sure everything is green. Our goal is to have this particular dashboard always green, because even a small glitch will turn this in one of the bubbles red. And also the product teams have individual dashboards in their area that they will be watching. All the APM, infra, DB, metrics, they are all watching. Cloud Foundry, all of these they are watching. And so that they can, all of our metrics come into a single UI. We use Grafana for that, and we make sure we are, and all teams are ready for that. Okay, so we we used to do this, our office pre-peak, pre-COVID. And we used to have independent conference rooms for each product team. Each product team will be assigned a conference room with a Zoom room, with a conference, and they will all be managing that, individual Zooms. And with a centralized Zoom, centralized big conference where, have several key people from SREs, they will be managing the entire thing. But with because of the way we had operationalized the whole peak, when COVID hit for last year, we just moved that, virtually seamlessly without any issues. And instead of conference room, we went to Zoom. People started, like, okay, we'll do that. And then join Zooms, independent Zoom rooms and breakout room, everything was set up. And we used the same format that we used in the office to move towards a Zoom room. And for last week, we ran this. And it's a very operationalized, productionalized process we have.
Awesome. So, Ram, one of the key things that I have observed is like with the changes that we were all put into thanks to the COVID pandemic that we all had to go through the last year and a half, I've seen your team transform how you've done all of these amazing things, as you said, bringing it from the conference rooms into the Zoom rooms. How do you coordinate that? How do you coordinate a global team that executes flawlessly to have a successful peak? And I've seen year after year, your peak execution has been one of the most smooth executions that I've seen when it comes to high, high capacity, high, volume execution. So I'm really proud to be partnering with you as y'all went through this journey from the VMware side. So having said all these things, where does this take you? I know that every year you start with a new goal, 200%, 250%. That's always great to have, and that's a good goal that you guys have been literally conquering every year, right? But from a technology perspective, from a process perspective, what else do you want to add to this such that you are ready for the next year or the year after's onslaught of the load on you?
Thanks, Anand. Thanks. Most of this, I want to plug in, right? So most of these things, when we do, it is not just we have to do, all our vendors, all our partners are also have to work with us. So, VMware is a great partner who's helped us during these times. You provide 24/7 support during those days. And it's all these partners are also involved to be successful to get where we are. So now where do we go, right? It's just like, we have run it as a program. It's very tight. It's an extremely tight program with process, make sure that everything happens. Hey, what can we do now, right? As you know, we are an extremely, most of our stuff that we do, we have metrics, monitors, logging data, everything. We have a lot of data, but how do we use that data, right? So what we are trying to, our next step is using the automation for using and having very, very automation dependency on recovery of issues, auto recovery, on things that I don't have. So make sure we are everywhere and using machine language to observe and predict issues and make sure we are peak ready 365 days a year, not having dependency on these a specific program or peak team to follow and make sure we are fine, and being able to do most of the stuff as part of the CI/CD, and also all the automation and all the scaled out work we do. Hey, are you ready? Do we do manual scaling? Do you auto? All of that ready to go automatically as part of the CI/CD pipeline itself, and also automatic scaling. So our next goal is to automate it and make sure how, what percentage of it will require, we need to reduce that percentage of manual intervention and run this thing automatically.
Fantastic, fantastic. So that's where I think I'm gonna go bookmark gap.com and start, preparing for using all of the cool services that you have out there, and going and buying all of the cool apparel and everything else that we get at Gap and Old Navy and Banana Republic and Athleta there. So I really appreciate your time today, Ram, to tell us and tell every one of our other friends who have joined our session today to understand what it takes to run a system at scale. Not like it's not a single system by any means, right? It's an ecosystem of systems. You're talking about public cloud providers who are helping you. VMware is partnering with you as well. You have other smaller vendors. You have your payment providers. All of these people getting there, working together as a single team, single unit, and taking you through that. And your leadership, I've seen it firsthand. You have been instrumental in this process being built out over the years, and I've seen flawless execution of these things. So congratulations on all of the previous years' executions, and looking forward for more of these in the coming years.
Thank you. Thanks, Anand. Like you said, it takes a village, and partners like you and everybody, internal to Gap and everybody. So it does take a village. Thanks a lot.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Ram and Anand. That was really great information. Please click on the link that should be in the Talk Select channel to ask questions and continue the discussion with our speakers. I really encourage you to take advantage of this chance to ask Ram and Anand questions. I see many, if not most organizations that don't handle high scale well, and this is an opportunity to make sure that yours can and does.